Hello, sir.
Hi, how are you?
I came here to ask you a couple questions because the men need it, our generation needs it. So, are you ready?
Sure.
Okay. So, you're about to celebrate 28 years of marriage.
Yep.
I don't think you knew I knew that.
Well, I'm not surprised.
Well, you're celebrating 28 years of marriage. So, you have a lot of experience when it comes to relationships. Okay?
Sure.
So, my first question to you, this is a question that I've been pondering on my brain.
Okay.
From your perspective, what do you think this generation is missing when it comes to like relationships, dating, and also the perspective from a man, like us pursuing? What do you think like we're missing in this generation?
I guess the first word that comes to me is courage. And that might be I don't want that to be harsh, but I think when I observe things and I listen to different things, I listen to different people, I watch different things, courage, especially guys. I think there's a lot of guys that are checking out as far as like, I could exceed as an athlete, I could exceed as a gamer. I can't exceed in the whole dating thing. I can't exceed in regards to how to ask someone out, how to treat them. So I'm just gonna live here. And to go from here to here takes a lot of courage. And I think a lot of guys, unfortunately, because there's other paths that they can go down, they're choosing the less courageous way to go. So maybe, I don't know if that's overblown, but that's my opinion. I know it took courage for me to approach my at that time, she wasn't my wife, obviously, but the person who was going to be my wife. But when I think about it, it wasn't only courage with her in dating. I didn't date that much, but there was courage required to go up to a girl and say, hey, are you interested? Can we, talk further? Can we get to know one another? It all requires courage. And maybe this might be tied in with it, is it also requires, and there's a word that the younger generation has. I don't know if it's wingmen or whatever, or the group, your posse.
Yeah,
I don't know if anybody uses that word anymore, posse, but it's who surrounds you. That's so important, that you got the right people surrounding you. I had friends who encouraged me in dating relationships. I had friends who encouraged me to connect with the person who's now my wife. And I think if you consider this generation, especially generation of guys, so we are afraid and we don't have that posse. We have, again, some of it's going to come across harsh. I am 50 plus, so forgive me. But we have community virtually. It's not the same as this. It's not the same as being in the same room, talking. We could ask questions, we could receive answers, that sort of thing. I could be talking to somebody in Yugoslavia, I could be talking to somebody in Kansas. It's not the same thing that we're in the room. And this person, most likely, they're not going to be as valuable as somebody who's right there with me. When I say, hey, there's a girl that I'm interested in, what do I do? I'm nervous, I'm apprehensive, I really like her, I feel like I'm going to fumble over my words. What do I do? If we don't have this, it makes it a lot more harder. And because this gives courage. This virtual stuff, no, it's good for gaming and all that stuff and just like small talk, haha, hee hee. It's not good for real life stuff. So I think for guys today, those are the things that they're missing. They're missing the courage. They're missing the people, the right people around them to encourage them and say, hey, you can get back in the ring. It's like having somebody in your corner, right?
So that's an amazing answer, to be honest. What do you say to the guy that says, Pastor Duane, I go to church, I go to work, I go home, I'm not in the clubs, I don't do this. Sometimes my only opportunity is to see people online. What do you say to that guy that's facing that problem?
So seeing people online as far as dating, or are we talking about...
just seeing people online. They can even go through apps or just on
Sure.
Instagram, social media, and stuff like that.
Okay.
What do you say to those people? Which I feel like it can be a poor excuse, but what do you say to those people?
Sure. So I just want to be clear with the seeing people online. So you mean like virtual dating, or are we talking
It can
about something
be
else?
online dating, but
Right.
it can also be like Instagram, Facebook. I see these people online.
And do what? That's my question. Like, and do what?
Maybe
I can see a lot of people
Maybe you
online.
want to slide in their DMs. Maybe
Oh yes,
like,
the
this
slide in
person-
the DMs.
This
Yes,
person
of
is
course.
beautiful. Let me slide
Yes.
in their DMs. Maybe
And do what? This is where I need the education.
Try
I've
it.
heard this stuff about sliding into DMs and all this stuff, and I'm like, you gotta educate me. And do what? Like,
Well,
is this how
people-
you get to know people?
So,
or are you
okay,
just
so-
saying, send me more pictures? Or
no,
what?
no. So basically, there's a world where I'm on Instagram.
Yeah.
I'm never gonna see this person. I'm in, let's say Toronto.
Sure.
I'm never gonna see this person that's in Hamilton.
Sure.
I come across this person's page. I follow them.
Okay.
Let me just slide in their DMs and maybe
Okay.
try to go out on a date with them. And
Sure.
get to know them.
Yeah, you
et
can
cetera,
try.
et cetera.
You can try it that way. There's nothing wrong with that. I know a lot of people who they've had an online relationships
Yeah.
and they've gotten married
Yeah.
and they met online, and that's fine. For my generation, that's most of the time we did not do that,
Yeah.
because when that was coming in, a lot of us were older. And then when it came in, it was like a lot of us are still like, whoa. And now what we're facing is our children are walking through that, and we're like, okay, I'm trying to be open-minded. If I did not meet a fair bit of people who I knew that they had gotten married and they had met online, I would be a lot more skeptical. But I've met a lot of people that, okay, this is how our relationship started. So it's like, yeah, that's fine. It works, you know. Because
I like that.
sooner or later you have to meet the person though,
Oh yeah. 100%.
obviously. Or it's just like, why am I looking at this?
Yeah.
Right?
100%. No, facts. What habits or mindsets do you think are hurting this generation's approach on dating?
Okay. Pornography for one. Easy. I think what's also happening is that I think the gender roles are, and anyway, I don't know who's going to be watching this, so just remember to tell them you're talking to an
Yeah,
old man,
no,
all right?
100%.
The gender roles, I think we are losing their distinction. And I am not saying the man has to be the boss and the woman is this. It's not about that at all. In my belief, in my faith as a Christian, I believe that Adam and Eve were partners. I believe they had equal investment, equal power, if you will, in that relationship. So it wasn't that one was better than the other. It was that they were different and they needed each other. God created Adam because he said, Adam, you need help, right? The joke today is lots of husbands, we need help. Yes, we know. And our wives are helping us, you know? But the thing is, I think with the dissolution of the gender roles and like, what does it really mean to be a man? What does it mean to be a woman? How should we relate in a relationship? What places do we take? What are we proud of? And all that stuff. If that's not existent, that's going to mess things up. So now I'm hearing this whole thing about, oh, well, you can't open a door for a woman and stuff like that. And I'm like, okay, whatever. But I'm also hearing the whole thing of, well, who's going to be the first one to ask on the date? And then I'm hearing from young men, oh, I can't ask a girl out because they're going to think I'm creeping them and all this other business. So I'm like, so it's harder. It seems to me it's harder. And in my old-fashionedness, I would say, you know what? Go back to the old-fashioned thing and have the wherewithal to say, look, people are going to laugh at you or people are going to think this is silly. But I will connect it with another thing. You sort of have to have a real idea where you want to go and what you want out of the relationship, right? The old-fashioned way, you can go that way if you're sure this is why you're doing it. If you're not sure why you're going old-fashioned, then you just look silly. But if you go old-fashioned and then you also look at it and say, I want a relationship and here's why, right? You have to answer the question for yourself. What is it? Do you feel like you're just at a place that you want to get married? Do you feel like you're at a place where you want kids? Do you feel like you're at a place where you're lonely? What is the reason? Do you feel like there's a place where you're experiencing hurt? What is the reason? Not all of those reasons are going to be healthy, and you got to sort that out. But there's some very healthy reasons, and you have to determine and say, look, I know why I'm doing what I'm doing. I know who I'm looking for. I am sure. And one of the things I feel that the generation doesn't have in a lot of ways is just a lack of surety, or a lack of confirmation as to, like, this is why I'm doing what I'm doing.
Indecisiveness.
Yeah. So because you can't go out with somebody, and I'm speaking primarily to guys, right?
Yeah.
Okay. So you can't just get a girl because everybody else has a girl. You will feel empty on the inside. You'll feel like this is supposed to be a place of happiness. I don't feel happy. And then all sorts of other questions get into the way and stuff like that. And it's like, no, everybody has their own time. Everybody has their own ideal. But it's up to us to discover that. So to me, it goes back to, you've got to have the right people around you, being a person of faith. You've got to be listening to the Lord. And you do have to be careful of the snares that are out there. Pornography being one. There's different types of relationships. There's even different things that you could do with a girl, to be blunt, if you wanted to, and it's not called intercourse, and that's acceptable. You just got to be determined in your own mind, just to say, I'm not going to do that. That's not for me. I know this is why it's not for me. So if you got to write out a manifesto or something, or you got to journal about it just so that you know, you got to do that. But clarity, biggest thing in my mind.
My last thing is, can you dive a little bit deeper on the impact of the pornography aspect when it comes to dating?
Okay, so it affects, as we know, it affects the way that guys look at women. It's unrealistic. It gives guys a false sense of power. It's definitely not encouraging me working out my social angst in regards to how do I work with a young lady, how do I treat a young lady, those sort of things. It isolates, it shames, obviously. Not only, obviously the person that is being viewed, it demeans them, but it demeans us. It's not doing anything. Might be a temporary feeling, and so on and so forth. But after a while, you leave it, and it's like, oh, I got to carry that weight now. And all sorts of questions come into your mind about, well, who am I to have partaken? What does this say about me? So it takes us totally off where God wanted us to be. But I'll tell you something. What's interesting is this is easy. It's easily, accessible, right? To go the other way, it's harder. But this will require more of you. It will require more of your heart, more of your spirit. This does not. This actually requires more I'm just giving up. I'm giving up my strength. I'm giving up my fight. And this was actually meant in another way to be expressed here with one young lady who is to be married. And I don't want to make any misunderstanding. I'm not saying that the way that we look at people in that way is the way we should look at our wives and so on and so forth. But I do believe this, the intimacy, the difficulty, the vulnerability that this way presents is meant for our wife. This is easy, this feels good, but it just leads to all sorts of zigzagging off course questions, makes it difficult. As a pastor, I've dealt with people, and I'm dealing with people who are walking through this, and it's not a place that anybody wants to go, right? So this is harder, but this is what's needed, and we all need some things in our life that are hard, so that we're able to say and struggle and say, look, I don't know everything to do here. One of the things that I think young men might struggle with again is, I feel like I should be here, and I'm here, but I have to fake it like I'm here. So we need people in our lives as young men to be like, it's okay that you're here. We will help you to get there. Going back to one of your other questions previously, if I can, I know I'm jumping all over the place, but you asked about what was missing. One of the biggest things is fatherlessness. And sometimes it's motherlessness too. Parents aren't there to really share and be with the guy. So like when he's in this hard season, the guy has nobody to go back to. He's got no voice, right? So if you don't have one, find one. If you don't have somebody in your life who's been a father, find someone who can be. There are people out there who want to. They're older people, and yes, they're old-fashioned. They're old-fashioned like I am, but they've got experience, and they would love to share what they have. And the wonderful thing about us older people is we watch when this person takes this route and they're fumbling all over the place and they're uncertain and they're doing all sorts of things. We can watch these people with grace and not with judgment, because part of us has been there,
yeah,
right?
Yeah.
And we could also say, you know what? You are going in the right direction. You're not going away from it. You're going to it, and you're trying. And there's going to be heartbreak, and we're gonna weep with you when it happens. But when you win, we're gonna rejoice with you. But you're going the right direction. So.
Wow.
Yeah.
Appreciate that, sir.
No problem.
That's it.
That be it?
That's it.
All right. Cheers.
Wow.